I'd like permission to study the Necronomicon.
The legend of the Necronomicon has it that long ago the Earth was inhabited by a species from another dimension, with certain chants from the book, coupled with ancient rites and sacrifices. This race, the old ones, can be brought back.
Coming at you with some spooky shit.
Spooky.
Okay. So, in response to X-Files being brought back to television.
Brought back from the dead?
Brought back. Resurrected. Reanimated, if you will.
Oh.
What a great show that was. That used to be. Usually reboots suck. Like when they reboot shit, it sucks. But I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic.
I've already watched
about
the first two
X-Files.
episodes, and they're pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I like how they brought back the original Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, Skinner's back.
Cancer Man. What about the three nerds?
Spoiler. No, I don't think they've blown their load yet by showing them, but I'm pretty sure they're going to come back too, because I don't think any of those actors are
spent all those years playing Dungeons and Dragons, don't learn anything about being courageous. David licks his lips. So, let's commemorate this moment. David, his first time drinking ever.
That's not true at all. This is my second time drinking.
You lush.
Ever.
You alcoholic, you.
I am on shot number 5 of vodka and Coke.
Within 45 minutes, and he is not at all affected because he weighs 1 metric ton.
David, how are you measuring?
It's like feeding a whale a Tic Tac.
How are you measuring your alcohol intake tonight?
With a shot glass.
By the bucket.
It's like the reverse, of the Flash. Because you know the Flash is like, I burn off alcohol because my metabolism's so fast. It's like the opposite of that. Like, my metabolism's so slow, I could drink 50 beers and not even feel anything because it hasn't even started to soak my blood yet.
I suppose. Yeah, because it still hasn't reached its stomach lining yet. Next to the trombone, the boot, the full watermelon.
The license plate.
Your ham cheese sandwich from 3 weeks ago. And all that fucking semen.
Yeah, we're talking about sailors, right?
Yeah. Let me out. Oh, speaking of let me out, let me in. That was a good movie, by the way. Black Eyed Children. Have you guys read anything about?
She was a vampire, right? She wasn't
she was
Beck.
No.
As they call them.
Becks are the most horrifying things ever.
Have you ever met someone who's had an encounter with a Beck?
No, I haven't. But,
I know of a guy.
No fucking way.
Hold on. You know him too, right? For his protection, I'm not going to say his name on the air.
BT.
But he's
first name? Say first name.
He's told a few people the same story about his encounter in South Texas with a Beck.
Is it Eric?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you off air, but I haven't had the opportunity to ask him in person because he moved to a different workstation that's the next one over from ours. So I'm going to have to ask him next time I see him.
Wow.
Because I'm really curious about that. It's one of those things, I didn't know anyone who had an encounter with one because I was really curious about what it felt like. And
relay the story then.
Huh?
Let's hear it. Let's hear the story.
Well, I don't really know how much I can say about it,
Then why'd she even bring it up?
Well, yeah, okay. I'm an asshole. All right. Anyway, okay, so he was working in law enforcement at the time in South Texas. And he was set to patrol this highway outside of this town, right? Of course, all the typical Beck indicators, it was nighttime, he was by himself. As soon as the kid presented himself to him, he said, I felt like the terror come all over me, right? And of course, he didn't notice right away that the kid had black eyes.
So we're talking about the black-eyed children that visit
Yes.
you in the night, and they always
Yeah.
say, like, I'm lost, or
Yeah,
let us in
can
and
you
help us
me?
out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have adult voices, and there's like this unearthly, alien, demonic presence about them, usually.
Well, that's like most people that present these stories usually say that before they even realize what's happening, they have this overwhelming like sense of like impending doom coming onto them. And a lot of stories I've read about them too, typically they're dressed out of the era. I don't know if you guys have read that either.
Yeah, I've read that, like, a hot summer night, they'll be wearing, like, winter
Yeah, like
clothing.
a pea coat, and they look like they're like from the 20s or some shit.
Okay.
Yeah, so the kid came up and started asking him for help, and he said that he got that overwhelming feeling of, fucking doom, and he actually, unholstered his weapon because he was so, like, scared just from that interaction. So he sped off.
It's probably, like, I'm thinking he probably was afraid to get a case, and that overwhelming impending doom was like, oh, fuck, I might actually have to work. I'm out of here.
It was actually like some little kid with 2 black eyes or something that got beat up by his like junkie mom. I was like, hey, mister, can you help me?
Oh, man. No, that's horrifying. That I was actually rolling around in Mountain Laguna at like 10 at night. Don't ask me what the fuck I was doing out there.
Burying a body.
I was hiking. Yeah, no, I was burying a body. And I was rolling with this dude. His name's Andre.
3,000.
Andre 3000.
Ice cold.
Ice cold. And anyway, we were rolling around up in Mount Laguna, and I was like, hey, dude, get on your phone and fucking look up Black-Eyed Children. And he started listening to it, and he's like, oh my God, it's too fucking scary. No way. And he's like heading to Swivel, because we were parked on the side of the road, like by like where, you stop. There's like a little parking lot, go out hiking on the trails.
Like, why don't you take a second to explain to people who, aren't from Southern California, like how desolate.
Oh my God, it's like the
area
edge of the
is.
world. So, like if you go online and you look up Mount Laguna, like Desert View, that's pretty much right where we were at. There's like, it's like this alpine-y, like trees, like conifers and shit, like up in this mountain. And it's so out of the way. Like during the winter in California, you got to put chains sometimes in your tires because it's so like the elevation is like 6,000 feet.
It's like going from a super like.
It's almost like Tahoe if you've been in Tahoe.
Well, the way that I explain it, it's like that opening shot from like The Shining. It's like it's less than an hour from San Diego, but it's almost like that because
It's not that bad.
You're in town, but then all of a sudden there's just all these high trees. You can't like see the horizon. Like it's really foresty considering it's so close to San Diego.
Yeah, and it's up off the highway, and it's kind of tough to find. Like you would have to actively look forward to find this place. But there's this one
Continue.
There's this place called Desert View, and you look down and you just see these what they call them, the Sawtooth Mountains, and like the desert, like I think was it Buttercup Desert or something like that, like out toward El Centro, and it is. Like, it feels like you're on the edge of the universe. Like, you're looking off into this fucking great abyss of death and desolation and solitude and sand dunes and shit. And it's just really creepy. It's like, all these trees and everything's lovely. And you look down and it's a fucking desert death. And it's so isolated. So we're there. I'm like, Andre, man, check out Black-Eyed Children. She started talking about ghost stories. Because again, X-Files came up. So we started talking some shit about X-Files and conspiracy theories and... So we started listening to some of the stories of Black-Eyed Children, and he's like, dude, I'm going to fuck you, dude. Fuck you. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. This is too freaky. And we couldn't listen to like the like YouTube things where people just read tales of the Black-Eyed Children. He couldn't finish them. And you know this, Andre. He couldn't handle it. We had to fucking stop. And I was like, you're a bitch. You're not a man. He's looking around and he went to take a piss and he goes out, opens the door, And I could hear him like running, and he's like, before he could get in the car, he's still zipping up his pants because he's so fucking afraid to be outside at night. But yeah, black-eyed children to me is like the most horrifying. Could you imagine, like, oh, they're just kids? Can you imagine like 3 in the morning? I wake up a lot in the middle of the night screaming, and like I'm still like unaware of what's going on sometimes, and like, could I imagine like 3 in the morning, the doorbell ring, I'd fucking shit a brick. I'm like, oh my god, they're in my house.
They came for me.
Yeah, because they come to you. If you know about them, they come to you, ironically enough. But it's one of those things. And they do multiple visits. They visit you more than once. Is that fucking scary, David?
Not really.
That's fucking scary.
I'll take your word for it.
I mean, David, are you a non-believer, or do you want to believe, as
is the truth
Fox
out there?
Mulder famously coined?
I am a non-believer, and you cannot want or choose to believe anything. You are compelled to believe by evidence.
By the power of Christ?
Does it compel you right now?
No, don't exercise. A little black-eyed children might come out of his fucking stomach.
Don't say anything about exercise. So
It'd be like that Rick and Morty episode where the parasites come out. Sleepy John.
Yeah. So, like, you don't think you've ever had any supernatural experiences, or?
I know I've never had any supernatural experiences myself.
No. Ever, like, you've never had anything.
Nothing made your skin crawl. Like you never felt like you're being watched or something. Like you just felt like, I gotta get the fuck out of this immediate area now. Minus having a panic attack or heart attack that probably happens to you 3 times a day.
Minus that, no, nothing.
No, like I don't believe either. And like what I said, like, okay, I got a few stories. For a non-believer, I got a bunch of stories. I grew up in the North Shore, northeast of Massachusetts, like Salem, Massachusetts.
Which country?
Yeah, I got one about. I have one about Halloween when I was in high school, which is fucking scary. Because I never really met a real witch before. And everyone just kind of like, you just talk about like in school, like tales, like, oh yeah, the Salem witch trials and, Gallows Hill and everything else. It's actually modern day Danvers. But, yeah, we were hanging out, high school, Salem, Massachusetts. Everyone from around the world comes there. It's just a mass of people walking through the streets. And there's always been a coven of witches in Salem. Independent from Laurie Cabot, the official witch of Salem, she's just a drunk. Yeah, I've been to her shop. A different story altogether.
Does she dress like
Bette
Midler?
No, she dresses like a witch.
Like in like Hocus Pocus? Like
yes,
she dresses
like that, like with a cloak
stupid
and
like
everything. Like totally trying to capitalize on the look. So I go in there with my friend Matt, and I got this super rare book, the Kabbalion, like original, like first edition in there. She had it. I bought it. Anyway, there was like her store in Salem was like right on the wharf, and that's right by the ocean. Salem has a rich nautical history. They should stress that instead of the whole witch thing, because who cares? And it was like an old. You could tell that it was like a fitting room, like a little curtain, like it was a room you try on clothes. It was like an old retail store for clothing. Anyway, they converted it to like a witch museum or a store for witchcraft and all kinds of shit, like herbs and spices and books and candles.
Sage.
Thames and all that other shit.
Witch hazel?
Yeah, all that stuff. And then we walking in, I'm like, I wonder where Laurie Cabot is. There's some kid behind the counter, like some little goth kid. I'm like, where's Laurie? And then I hear this voice coming from like in the corner, and I see like just these 2 great big fat legs hanging down, clad in like a fake like Halloween costume, like witch cloak. And she like pulls the curtain closed, goes, and I forget her name of their son, but she's like, I don't want any visitors today. No visitors, I'm occupied, I'm busy. And like I can just picture that bitch in there like drinking a bottle of Jack, just like fucking slothing out. It was so disgusting. Like, you're a disgusting human. Because she was all over the local news and shit like, oh yeah, like Laurie Cabot cast a spell to rid the Red Sox of the curse of the Bambino, like all this shit. Anyway, So yeah, she's kind of like a local celebrity, but complete disgusting pig. But
Did you and any of your friends ever make like any midnight cemetery trips?
yes,
And nothing ever happened?
no, it's just scary. It's just you freak yourself out. But so Salem one Halloween, the mass people walking around, and hundreds, thousands of people walking through. And I was downtown Salem, the cobblestones by the old fucking the old city hall and shit. And we were walking, but yeah, there was a Covenant Independent Laurie Cabot. They claim to be real witches and shit like that. There's a whole bunch of witchcraft stores there. Back when I was in high school, there too. There was the one that was Laurie Cabot's, the other one was unaffiliated. They claimed to be the real witches. Laurie Cabot's a joke, whatever. So we're walking around, and we're kind of like on the tail end of this great mass of people just pushing their way through the streets. Everyone's in costumes and shit. And then, like, we're walking by an actual cemetery, an old cemetery. I forget what it's called, but it's right by, like, the North Shore Salem Museum. There's a museum there downtown Salem, and it was right there. It's part of like Mike Vicky's like haunted ghost trail. It's like right there-ish, like where they meet. And I'm walking, and all of a sudden I get this feeling like, what the fuck? I'm being watched. Like you know how those like the Vertigo shot like in movies from the movie Vertigo, where all of a sudden it comes up close, like right in your face. I felt like that, like on all sides. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I look around, and everyone, I'm just stopped there. I'm standing there at cobblestone streets. Everyone's kind of, I felt separated, like a fucking wounded gazelle from the pack. And everyone's like, Benny, what are you doing? Come on up. Like, what's going on? And I'm like looking around. It's like something isn't right. And I'm by that fucking cemetery, that old cemetery where they used to hang people. And like this plaques, like this guy was hanged and blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking around like something's not right. And then I hear like this doom, like this gong thing. And I look down the alleyway, and there's a line of fucking people dressed in these black cloaks holding like a standard, like a fucking like a Roman legion kind of like standard with like these weird fucking sigils on them. And there's one guy, like I don't know if you guys are familiar with Time Bandits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But one motherfucker was on stilts, and he had, instead of a head, this mask of like a fucking like horned goat like animal thing. And it was just like this huge horned fucking skull where his head would be. And he's like walking all unnaturally and shit. Like the bitch from The Ring, like coming out of the television set, like all jerky and shit. I'm like, and I felt like I looked at them, and I was just like, boom, Vertigo shot like right in on them. I'm like, holy fuck. I felt like I couldn't move. And they were just like walking slowly, advancing towards me. I was like, fuck this, I'm out. Like I felt completely alone. Like I could hear the fucking, the leaves, like the maple trees and shit, like rustling as the wind picked up and it cut through me. I was like, fuck this, I'm moving. And I felt like it wasn't really that far away, but I felt like I was miles away from anyone on the planet. And it was just the creepiest fucking shit ever. So yeah.
It's pretty fucking creepy.
Yeah, that was creepy. But it was like, obviously it was just like, and that's what was scary about it. Kind of like, so when I hear the tales of black eyed children, that shit kind of happens like in society. Like in, like you're just doing your day-to-day thing. There's people around. But it's like a reminder, you're not fucking safe, bitch. Yeah. It's like we're here now, but I was with thousands of people, yet I was still so isolated. Like, boom, you're alone. That sense of isolation.
That's just like impending doom. Like there's just like nothing you can do about it. People typically refer to that as like the hairs on the back of your neck standing up, right?
Well, yeah, but it was more than that. That's just like an anxiety response. But it was like you're alone. It's like, yeah, and it's kind of like, I don't know, like a metaphor. Like although we're together, we're a part of this great society, but eventually we all die alone, kind of deal. It's like you are truly by yourself. You pass hundreds of people every day, but you're still fucking alone. Period. You're still your own mutually exclusive being that is going to end. The subjective experience is gonzo light switch.
So with that light switch, if you don't believe in the afterlife, do you believe when people say like there's like residual energy sometimes, like when people die sometimes.
Okay,
It's like,
even if that's true, okay, just because we can't explain it, why point to supernatural? Maybe science can explain it. Maybe we don't have all the fucking facts yet.
yeah, maybe someday
It can
they
be
will.
explained.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has to be explainable.
Yeah, because sometimes like someone has a story like, oh yeah, my grandpa, he had his favorite chair, it was his rocking chair.
Yeah.
He died, and sometimes it rocks on its own.
Yeah, subjective
called a
anecdotes.
breeze.
Huh?
That's called a breeze.
Well, subjective anecdotes aside, I mean, like when I was a kid, I was really close to him. He died. I had a dream, like when he died, that we were fishing, something we never got to do. And I was talking to him, and he was talking to me. But that's not like I was talking to his ghost. That's just my mind getting over the loss of life. I mean, it's explainable through science. It's not why. Okay, so there's intelligence gaps that we have. Why fill them with some kind of deific, supernatural bullshit?
Yeah. Well,
Like if I saw a ghost, my first thing wouldn't be go to MythBusters or wherever people go. My first stop would be the doctor's office to get a fucking CAT scan.
I think I might have had a stroke. I don't know. Like, I always told myself that if I ever saw a ghost, I would try and make contact with it, right? Just to see what would happen. But the one time I did have an experience, and I'm still debating whether or not I know what happened, right? I didn't want anything to do with it.
Because you're scared.
Well, it wasn't that I was scared. I'll tell the story right now. So, I was living with a girl years ago. Shocker, right, David? A girl. So, we were living together in this. I guess it was kind of like a duplex cottage type situation where it was a house with an add-on to it.
House
With an add-on to it, and then in the driveway towards the very back, there was a standalone, like, one bedroom. It
like
was
a granny flat.
Yeah, it was more like a granny flat, but it had a bathroom, one bedroom, and we had 2 dogs. And sometimes when it was cold, the dogs would jump up on bed with us. The way that the bedroom was set up was that the bed was in the corner. I slept on the outside of the bed, and then directly across was the restroom. And since we were at the back of the lot, there was an alley that went through. So there was a lot of lights in the alley. So we would leave the bathroom window open so that way the light would flood in from the alley. Instead of having a night light or anything like that, it was just like a soft blue light, right? That would just kind of like radiate into the room. So one night I'm home, I'm asleep, right? The dogs wake up, and I wake up because the dogs wake up because my dog's kind of heavy, but both dogs crawled across me. So that woke me up because they're stepping on me because usually they'd sleep all night. So they step across me, and I'm laying on my side, and I'm facing the bathroom, and I open my eyes, and I see both dogs standing facing the bathroom door, just looking forward, just not moving, just standing there, both of them next to each other, looking forward, and I see the silhouette of like she's like a fat woman wearing like a muumuu, and I can't see her face, but she's like standing there, but she's like in the blue light. And like I'm looking like right at her, and I'm laying down and I'm looking at her, and like I said, all this time I was like, oh yeah, if I ever think I see
And
a
it was
ghost.
King Buzzo from the Melvins.
I was like, if I ever see a ghost, I'm gonna try and make contact. And I remember it was the middle of the night, the dogs are standing there looking at it, and I see it like clear as day, and I say no, and I just roll over and close my eyes until I go back to sleep.
Wow.
I just didn't want to deal with
You
it. 'cause I
fucking
was too
Neo'd
tired.
this bitch?
I just turned around, I just rolled over and said no. And the thing is like I've talked to people about it, and my best bud Cody tells me that he's pretty sure I was having a dream. But the thing is that when I dream, I never make choices. It's more like me watching a movie when I dream, as opposed to me like doing stuff in my dream or being able to control my dreams.
Well,
like,
you do know that there's some like arousal disorders where if you're startled, you wake up in the middle of the night. Although you're awake.
yeah, that
you are
like, in
awake.
between.
Half your brain
Yeah.
is still physiologically asleep.
Yeah.
And
Is
like you can't like visualize what's outside your room or your house, or you try to, your cognitive functions are impaired. And sometimes you can see things like the classic thing is a towering shadow thing with glowing eyes staring over you, or the mare, like an old Norse fucking legend, like the mare will sit in your chest like night terrors and choke you while you sleep. Like that's where we get nightmare from.
Like that kind of stuff. But what was weird was that we knew my ex's friend worked at the real estate company that managed the place that we lived at. And apparently the family that lived there at that house in the front, it was this old guy and his wife, and our granny flat or cottage or whatever you called it used to be the garage. So it was kind of like, if there was some residual energy or if her spirit was around, it would make sense that she was going out to the garage, like, hey dude, it's time to go to sleep.
So you're pretty sure as a female, you just instinctively know as a woman.
Yeah. So that's like, I feel like I saw a ghost that night, but I didn't want like anything to do with it. I just wanted to go back to bed. So I was like, no. I rolled over and closed my eyes. And that's why I said, like, even though, you have that half awake, half asleep thing sometimes, like, I've never experienced anything like that. But the thing was like, I didn't feel scared.
But then again, why were the dogs reacting to it?
Yeah, because that's why I woke up in the first place, that the dogs both crawled over me, and they sleep all night. So that's why there's evidence for both sides of it, but I don't really know what to make of it. So
there's evidence for one side of it, and then there's your own little
subjective hallucinations.
Yeah.
Whatever. When in Rome.
A matinee of the mind.
Yeah.
No, but do you want it's freaky though? I don't believe in that shit, but I went to Norwich University at Alumni Hall, which is, it's haunted, whatever. And freshman year I was there, lived there for months. No, nothing. Everyone's like, I saw a ghost. You're like, okay, whatever. There was like one crazy bitch that like wasn't happy without a cock in her mouth. And like they found her one night, like on the bottom of the stairs, passed out naked. And she said that a ghost raped her. So I was like, okay, you fucking fruitcakes. Like they actually legitimately sealed off rooms. Because, cadets hung themselves or hanged themselves. They committed suicide. So they actually locked off certain rooms in the hall. Like, because it's been around since 1819. There's a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. Well, one night, we're all going to bed. I was in like a corner triple. It was a huge room. And there was this guy, Strickler, and this guy, Armstrong. And I'm on the top bunk. We're about to go to bed. Armstrong's already racked out. And Strickler, I was talking to him, like, all right, dude, I'm going to go to bed. So I'm on the top rack, he's in the corner, and Armstrong's beneath me. And all of a sudden we heard like this voice in one corner of the room and circulate around. It was like this weird guttural, like, growl, like, where is? Like, almost like, where is? And it just like circulated around the room, like in the ceiling. And I felt like, just fucking, what was that? And I felt scared. Like something was, like something from beyond, like this omnipotent thing was reaching out and fucking had complete power. I was like, hey, Strickler, hey, Stickles, did you hear that? He goes, yes. What the fuck was that? I was like, what do you think you say? He's like, it was like, where is or something. Like, that's what I fucking heard too. I was like, there's got to be an explanation. It's probably the fucking door out in the hallway, but you heard fucking words. I heard words. Like, Armstrong, dude, you hear that? Huh? What do you mean? Did you hear that? Where is? He goes, oh, no, but this place is haunted. Like, I wake up in the middle of the night and I see shit moving around your desk all the time. Like, okay, all right. Well, anyway, that fucking freaked me out. Now, it's still unexplained, but we both heard it. We both heard the fucking words. I don't believe in ghosts, but I felt like obviously there's some kind of acoustic thing going on, maybe echo down the hallway. But that fucking freaked me out. And I don't believe in that shit. But whatever it was, freaked me out. And my mind, my primitive mind, immediately jumped to the conclusion, there's a fucking devil in here trying to fuck with you. Not like, oh, it was an echo. No, I felt like something was reaching into me and grabbed me kind of deal. Just by hearing the sound, like I felt touched on like a primal level. And so I can completely understand why people jump to the conclusion that, well, it's supernatural. That's just our fucking instincts, I think.
Have you guys ever walked into a room where you had like an unexplainable like surge of like bad mojo kind of come at you?
Every time you walk into the room.
Didn't see that one coming.
Zingo.
No, it's not in a room, but I've been in places where, you know, I just felt like I'm being fucking watched. Just felt absolutely cold. Like I need to get out now. But again, that's probably just our instincts. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like there's two specific places I've gone to more than once where it was just like as soon as I got there, it's just like the same like feeling. It wasn't dread. It's just like bad, like a bad feeling.
What
just, like,
is this
deep down
place?
inside.
It's like the dark side.
One of them is.
Is it Yavin 4?
No, it's called Shangri-La.
Oh. Okay.
Right? It was an old from the stories that I heard. It was an old commune that got raided and shut down, but a bunch of people died there and they're buried.
Okay, where is it?
on
'Cause I
site.
think every city has a Shangri-La.
Yeah, well, it's about an hour outside of San Diego to the east. It's in a real rural part of town, and they have these like, like kind of, they look like hobbit houses and stuff, but there was also some regular houses. But the people picked up and left when their leader or whatever got
Is that
arrested.
by Boulevard, by the scary house?
Yeah, it's like south of there, southeast of there.
Okay.
Yeah, that place I get like really bad mojo, and the other place is the first room at the Museum of Death where they have the John Wayne Gacy paintings.
Oh, Jesus.
Just every time I walk in there and I see a Pogo the Clown self-portrait, that just like I get so much like bad energy like every time I walk in there, and it's always like the same, and it's just as soon as you see it, like I know you're the molder in the group, David, but like as soon as I see it, I just
You mean the Scully?
oh yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, the redheaded bitch.
Yeah, the redheaded bitch. But it's like every time I see it, I get the same like feeling like bad deep down inside.
No, I get it. I mean, like those serial killer paintings are fucking disturbing.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think like one, they're demented, violent
Yeah.
people anyway, but then they're caged out for presumably solitary. I mean, in death row, it's usually they get a big cell to themselves.
Yeah.
But what kind of fucking weird shit does that breed?
Have you guys been to the Museum of Death?
No, I want to go though.
Yeah, I've been like 5 times. It's pretty awesome.
You talking about like paintings though, like
They have actual like John Wayne Gacy paintings, because what he did was apparently he tried to cash in on some of the murderabilia culture, and he was just cranking them out like paint by the numbers, just painting after painting after painting, and he was selling them, right? But as you know, a bunch of the victims of the family and church groups and just people in general weren't okay with him selling these paintings, so they bought a bunch of them and they burned them outside the prison in protest. But there are a bunch of them still in existence that were actually painted by him. But I would say like the creepiest one is definitely the Pogo the Clown self-portrait. Like I'm sure everyone knows, and if you don't know, you can Google Pogo the Clown, and there's that classic picture of him. And he did a self-portrait of that. I'm sure at some point there was like 60 of them, or I don't know how many. There's a lot of them, but the Museum of Death curators own that along with a few other ones. And like that first room, when you walk in, you see that, and they have, stuff from like Richard Ramirez and a bunch of other people. But that Pogo the Clown self-portrait, that just, I just get like the worst feeling off of that. But it doesn't stop me from going.
How much of that though is because you saw it in a place called Museum of Death and you knew it was John Wayne Gacy?
Well, the thing,
if you had just seen the picture on its own with no context, you would not have that feeling.
I'm not creeped out by death or afterlife or anything like that. Nothing else in there.
But
it scares
me. The point is,
but
it's the context that gives you that feeling. It's not the picture itself.
David, you're right. But,
that's true.
Yeah.
But here's something minus the context that freaked me out. The San Diego Museum of Fine Art, air quotes, because the museum sucks. I went there. There's a portrait by Naomi something called Ladies 11-1 or something like that. It was all in shades of red and crimson. And it was just like, I don't like, some people can actually look at art, like certain paintings, and get like mesmerized by it. And they don't move, almost kind of like a fucking grand mal seizure, I guess. But like I had a response like that when I saw this painting. Like it was just the creepiest fucking thing. I couldn't move. Like I was just fascinated by the horror of it, and it was just like I immediately like, I had a panic attack, and I couldn't pull my eyes away from it. It was just so like just twisted. I couldn't look away. Like it was just amazing.
Did you ever hear that story about the original Snow White print? Have you guys ever heard that?
No.
Yeah, it's supposedly Walt Disney. I don't know if you guys ever heard this, tale or whatever, that Walt Disney, when he was, creating his cartoons, he was experimenting with them, and he tried using different colors and all kinds of different stuff and different types of animation. And supposedly one of the results of that was one of his daughters like going crazy, right? I don't know if you guys ever heard that. But supposedly in the original edit of Snow White, the poison apple was a shade of red that was so deep that it was scaring young kids to the point where they would fucking piss their pants.
Yeah, I heard that. Actually.
And they had to shade that color of red because theater owners were complaining that all these little fucking 3-year-olds were pissing their pants and ruining the theater seats.
And it was like, because it also had like that gloss to it, right? I remember that apple being twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Oh wow! All right, well, I guess we went over a little bit, but I think it was well worth it. Thank you for your contribution once again, David.
So he would be the Scully, right? I'd be the Mulder, and you'd be the Skinner.
I don't know what I would be. I'd probably be the Cancer Man. I want to go and fucking smoke dudes.
Well, I'd say you're Skinner because it's like not quite a believer, but I'll allow it.
I want to be the guy that
you don't think he's the 3 nerds that believe everything but try to prove everything as well?
Well,
maybe I would be the 3 nerds and he would be the Mulder because he wants to.
You're
believe.
not smart enough to be the 3 nerds.
Oh well, yeah. I'll take that. So yeah, I mean that was it. I mean we got a ton of. We can go all day on this shit, but it's supposed to be theoretically a 30-minute podcast that no one fucking
went over
listens
30
to.
minutes, spooky.
Oh jeez. Yeah, David's fucking autism right now is going out of wax. Like, this is 37 minutes almost exactly. What the fuck? Keeps pointing to his watch and his stomach. All right, guys. Out.
Crank's hungry.